I think the most critical thing that we've pushed for so far, and we're finally seeing some traction, is establishing the Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Committee at the county level. We started working with Pete Lesher and the county council to establish that committee, looking to see what had been done in Queen Anne County. They were the first county to come up with a bike and pedestrian master plan on the Eastern Shore. And so I'm excited that that happened pretty quickly. We proposed it in June, July, and it was signed off by the council at the end of September. So that's really exciting for us. So that's the first step in what we would eventually like to see happen is a bike and pedestrian master plan for the whole county. So that committee would be responsible for, once it's established, to put out hopefully an RFP, let us do some grant applications to try and get that funded, hire a consultant that would come in, look at the existing conditions of the county, and come up with a list of priorities and doable projects and guidelines for any projects that come down the road. And once the council signs off and approves that master plan, it will dictate really moving forward what projects happen. And when they happen, they are looked at from a design perspective that takes all road users into consideration. So Matthewstown Road, the 328 project, a perfect example of that. So State Highway is coming in to redesign the road from Black Dog Alley to Route 50. We've been attending those meetings. We've been giving our feedback, making sure that there are sufficient sidewalks from those new developments that are being built, and that there's, at least a 4-foot bike lane on that road. And it's difficult because if we don't tell State Highway what the county and the town actually requires, they're going to do what they require. So it might not be what's best for all road users. It might be what's best for the level of service. But we have a project here in Talbot County where it's been in design for a couple of years. So I'm not sure what requirements they have to follow at this point. So we'll see, but they are at least asking for our feedback, and we're able to give it and review the designs. And, there's some things that we'd like to see happen on that stretch of roadway. Like I said, we want people in those developments down Matthewstown Road to be able to walk to shops and be able to walk to cross Route 50 and get over to places in town. And cyclists have the same rights. And like I said, there's a change in priorities that need to happen. And it's not necessarily about level of service, which basically means how many cars can we get through this choke area at one time. Can we make this turn lane longer? Can we make a middle turn lane? There's lots of design needs to happen. Another project on our list that we're excited about is the Frederick Douglass Rail Trail. So that is a rail banked line from Easton all the way to Queen Anne. And the state has looked at that as a priority project. It's on the county's list of priority projects. And the goal is to obviously connect Easton to Caroline County, and also the Frederick Douglass Park will be part of that. The county will get the same benefit from that type of trail to go from Easton to Queen Anne. And some of the communities along the way are really excited to have that come to them because they know it can bring significant economic development to their communities. A town like Queen Anne is very excited to, reinvigorate their downtown, and they want to create a park similar to what they've done in Ridgely. So we think it's a boon to the county, and we're excited that MDOT is on board with supporting that, and certainly Talbot Thrive is here to advocate for it. We are looking to work with the town of Easton. It just received some funding, or set aside some funding, to do a Vision Zero plan for the town. So we're working with a consulting company that's going to come in and look at all of our facilities, from roads, sidewalks, streets, neighborhoods, parks, trails, kind of evaluate existing facilities and infrastructure and a plan for, improving that for pedestrian and bike access. Right. It's all about connectability, and I think that's a priority for, I know we're involved with the Maryland Eastern Shore Trail Network, and connecting to other counties is a priority for that group. But yeah, we have a great trail over in Easton Village. But how do you get to it? Right now it's really hard to cross the bypass on a bike. You do it at Port Street and you're taking your life in your hands. So the plan is to kind of extend that east-west trail across Port Street around through Moton Park, and that would end up over at Glenwood. And the State Highway Administration has promised a light at that intersection of the bypass in Glenwood. So that's the plan, to provide some connectivity with that Easton Village Trail. Being aware of a new light or an intersection is going to be a learning curve for people who really do use that as a bypass. And so there's kind of a controversy. What are we calling it, a bypass? Or are we calling it the Parkway? Because it's really, with the lights that we have on that stretch of highway, and I call it a highway because that's how people drive on it. So design dictates. Mm-hmm. So if we can't just throw up a light and expect people are going to act accordingly. And like you say, there's a little bit of a danger when you have a light and you want people to feel safe crossing on their bikes or walking, but just putting a crosswalk out there and having a light is not enough. There's an education factor to that. We're doing some great educational programs for kids, learn to ride programs. We just had our first rolling rodeo, which was an event over at Easton Elementary School in October, and we had over 60 kids come and take part in our closed obstacle course, learn to ride program. We also had a helmet giveaway. We gave away almost 50 helmets to local kids. So I think the education and learn to ride programs are going to be a big part of what we do in the future. And hopefully we'll be partnering with the local Parks and Rec departments and Talbot County Public Schools on those programs, and add some more, road separated infrastructure for some of these new riders. We want to do a bike garden somewhere in one of the parks where we kind of have a basketball court-sized area that's painted that kids can come and ride their bikes. So we'd love to do a free bike program for kids where they apply and get some corporate funding to, buy some bikes for kids. So, it's kind of the cart before the horse thing. We want to make sure that kids have a safe place to ride before we start making sure they all have bikes. We want to do a bike bus program where we, kind of shepherd kids from one neighborhood to East Elementary School as a big group. So that's definitely one of my goals down the road. So it's a big part of what we'd like to do is bike education program. We want to expand what we're doing with walkers and runners. We're going to be showing in December a showing of a documentary called Cycling Without Age, which is a program we would like to replicate that's being done in Anne Arundel County. So there are e-bikes with seats on the front where people who are, unable to walk, so people who are disabled or people who are older can sit up front and they get ridden on the bike path. Most of our assisted living facilities in Easton are actually on a trail. So, that's a program to expand to our older demographic.